Kandid Shop. We speaking on things you not. Just press play and let it rock. Welcome to the Kandid Shop. Whoa. Welcome to the Kandid Shop. We speaking on things you not. Just press play and let it rock. Welcome to the Kandid Shop. Feel like we going through mad things. Gotta keep it real when they choose not. We gon' talk about it when the news drop. Welcome to the show where you know we don't fake this. Keep your opinion to yourself if it don't make sense.
Hey, Podcast Nation. It's your girl, Kandidly Kristin, and this is the Kandid Shop, your number one destination for candid conversations. If you're a new listener, welcome. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back and thanks for your support. So today, at long last, I am sitting down for a candid chat on love, authenticity, and identity with life coach and host of the Be You, Do You podcast, Mr. Sam Castle, who is also a certified behavioral health professional specializing in neuro-linguistic programming, and he's going to have to tell me what that is, and trauma-informed coaching. Also joining us, and this is a special treat, is Sam's wife, MSW and fervent LGBTQ plus advocate, Vanessa Castle. So welcome, Sam and Vanessa to the Kandid Shop.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, good to be here.
Thank you for making some time to chat with me today. So you guys know we've been trying to nail down doing this episode for a while. So let's just get right into it. I'm a stats person. I like stats. So I pulled some stats from the Pew Institute Center, and it says that some 5.1% of adults younger than 30 are non-binary or trans, including 2% who are a trans man or trans woman and 3% who are non-binary. So it doesn't seem like a big number, but I think it's kind of indicative of the way people are feeling a little more free to be their authentic selves. Would you agree? Yes or no?
Yes.
I would definitely agree.
Yes. All right. So before I want to roll it back because I want to ask you, Sam, if you could tell me and my listeners a little bit about who Sam Castle is, your journey to becoming a certified behavioral health professional, and please tell me what neuro-linguistic programming is.
Okay. Wow. Where do I start? I'm Sam. I was born in Oakland, California. Single parent household, primarily raised by my mom and grandmother. Knew at a very young age, I'd say around 6, that I was different. And because I say different, I'm speaking from that time. I say different because I didn't have the language for what I was experiencing. And growing up in a Christian household, that also added another layer of fear of being able to go to my mom and say, hey, Mom, I don't feel like I'm a girl. So I didn't really have the language for it. And so most of my life, I experienced just suppressing that part of who I was. And so as I navigated through that journey, it was very challenging. Like I said, I didn't really have a huge support system. I didn't really have anyone who I could identify with or anyone that looked like me. Fast forward around my 20s, I found out that my grandmother's brother transitioned from male to female. But they had since moved away. So I didn't really have any contact with them to kind of, get any information or, all of the things like, oh my God, I found this out. Let me go connect with this person and see how they can help me. They had moved away because, again, of the stigma, the shame, the guilt that, the family had projected onto them for them being who they are. So again, it just led me down this path of me just trying to figure out who I was on my own. And so fast forward 2018, I just took a leap of faith with the support of my lovely wife here. And I started my gender transition. I knew the opportunity was going to present itself. I just didn't know when, I didn't know how, I didn't know what it was going to look like.
Right.
But I'm so grateful for all the resources that I've been, provided, and the support system now that I have in my life. And that's pretty much what put me on the path to being a life coach and getting involved in behavioral health, because I feel like that's a huge part of what is affecting our community is the mental health aspect of it. So that's why I'm really huge on mental health, personal development, and the mind, like mindset. I'm really big on mindset. So that's how I run to my destination.
Okay. All right. And just for me, because I read it and it's like, neuro-linguistic. So that's like language and the brain. But please define NLP for me, what it means in terms of what you do.
So before I became a life coach, I took a certification in neuro-linguistic programming techniques. It's basically involving language and the mind, how we program language, our thoughts, and being able to reprogram our thoughts from our past experiences. It definitely helps people who have experienced past traumas or current traumas. And so that's what that programming is all about, is dealing with the mind, the thoughts, behavior, and which ultimately leads to our actions, like how we're navigating throughout the world. Okay.
That's interesting. I have to dig deeper into that because that's kind of interesting to me. So,
sorry, I was gonna.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
That was something that I did more so for me. So when I decided to invest in myself, I invested in a life coach myself, and that was kind of what confirmed my purpose. So when I invested in a life coach, that's what came with it was challenging my belief systems, which, related to my identity, working on my values. And so that neuro-linguistic programming was more so something that I did for myself within my coaching container.
Okay.
That makes sense. That was used for me.
Okay. And I'm going to just assume, and I probably shouldn't, that it was extremely helpful for you in your personal journey.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, I grew up with a set of beliefs as a child, especially around my identity. I was broken. Something was wrong with me. I needed to be fixed. I was going to go to hell because, of how I identified and wanting to change my gender. So doing that work with my coach helped me, dig to the root of why my belief systems were the way they were, where they came from. And I had no idea that I could change, my belief systems. And I did.
Right.
I didn't even know that was something that I could do.
Right.
Yeah. I thought I had to hold, for the rest of my life, but.
Isn't that something? So listen, I, in digging around and trying to be a little bit more knowledgeable in preparation for our conversation, I wanted to kind of find a general, and I'm doing air quotes, general definition for transgender. And this is what I found. Transgender is an umbrella term for persons whose gender identity, gender expression, or behavior does not conform to that typically associated with the sex to which they were assigned at birth. To both of you, is that an accurate kind of general definition?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I didn't align with my assigned gender at birth.
Okay. So Sam, this one's for you. Tell me about some of the challenges you faced in your journey to live authentically and how you overcame them. Like, what got you through?
That's a good question too. A big part of the reason why it took me so long, and I don't regret the decision. But a big part of why I didn't transition sooner was because of family. Losing my family, the fear of being rejected, And just the fear of what people were going to think or say. Like that was my biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
It wasn't me questioning whether or not I should do it. It wasn't me questioning whether or not, I felt like it was right or wrong. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with wanting to please my family and wanting to do more so what I thought would make them happy versus make me happy.
Right, right. And overall, in the people that you coach or that that are transgender, is that like a common theme more than, because I don't believe that people don't know who they are. Like, I don't think that's what stops people. I think it's about societal pressures, norms, and that family piece.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of my clients, just a lot of individuals within the LGBTQ community alone, family is a big reason, which is why we really create our own communities and families. Because a lot of times, specifically in the Black culture, that's shunned, that's frowned upon. What, you're gay? What do you mean? So a big part of my challenge was definitely family. And what got me through that was my faith. That's also something that is often found in the community as well. We still we love God.
Right. And God still loves you.
Absolutely. But what I found is like the community is deep in our, in our faith. And I feel like that's what gets us through. Well, that's what got me through my faith.
Right.
Like I said, I invested in personal development. I've been in personal development for the last, I want to say 4 or 5 years or so. I feel like that's played a huge part in my growth and just overall how I see myself. So I'm in that phase of life where you're going to argue with yourself because I'm not giving you time or energy to argue with you about who I am.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the work that you do, Sam and Vanessa. I am coming to you. I promise. But, Sam, I believe intersectionality plays a significant role in most people's lives. So in your work, how do you address like the intersection of race, gender identity, social economic differences, faith, when you're coaching people from like diverse backgrounds or ethnicities? How do you work with that?
You have some good questions this morning.
I try.
I'll be honest with you. I'm still learning how to navigate those intersectionalities.
Okay.
What I've found throughout my own journey is that I let my clients know they can be all things. You don't have to choose, if that makes sense. Is that your
That makes
question?
a lot of sense. Yes. Yes. I think that when you're African American, you're transgender, and I'm going to are your clients are not all transgendered, or?
I'm still getting clear on my audience, but specifically, I prefer that it's Black trans men because that's been my experience. But I'm still learning as I go. I know I'm not for everyone. I'm always open to help anyone who is seeking help. But my target audience is marginalized communities, specifically people of color, trans men of color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And listen, I think that we often start with this big thing, and then it kind of niches down and you whittle it down and you're like this. You land on exactly your demographic and the people that you can best help. So I think that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
And that's what's been transpiring for me is getting more clear on who I want to provide coaching to, because it's a lot of individuals out there struggling with trauma. And and I'm trauma informed. So that's my jam right there.
Okay. And that's important.
Yeah.
So, victimization, shaming, blaming, probably three of the biggest issues or challenges in the transgender community, and misinformation and stereotypes. So how do you approach helping your clients to overcome them? Like, how do you somebody says, I want to have a conversation with, my family or whoever they're trying to tell about themselves. And how would you advise them to kind of navigate their conversation, to kind of pierce through the many, 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 many misconceptions and myths about transgender people?
I feel like education is a huge part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so much misinformation out there. And where we're at now, there's no excuse to stay ignorant. Like,
yes,
you're a Google search away from finding out what it means to be transgender, how someone, gets to that. Like, there's so much information out there. So what I try to tell my clients is always stay firm in who you are. Boundaries is huge. And also affirm who you are first. Because for me, if I didn't love myself, I can't have this expectation that someone else is going to love me if I can't love myself, or if I can't affirm myself. So I'm big on affirming who you are first, validate who you are first, love you first. And then with loving you, navigating, family, navigating friends and coworkers, it's easier. I'm not, it makes it less difficult if you stand firm in who you are.
Yeah. Because the challenge is going to come. You're going to face ignorant people. You're going to face people who have like a firm hold on whatever their belief system is that says that this is morally wrong or whatever. And I have a list of myths that when I read them, they're just ridiculous. So you're gonna come up against that. In an ideal world, people could be who they are, period, full stop. But that's not where we are yet. So it's important that people have like tools to kind of deal with it, and so they don't internalize it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I'm huge on therapy and coaching and personal development. It could be, you can personal development is within coaching. It's also within therapy. But it also comes down to you being willing to do the work, even if it's uncomfortable. Because there was moments in my journey, in my personal development journey, where I was ready to quit. I didn't want to, face things that were coming up, especially around, my upbringing, my emotions, the resentment I had towards my mom and my dad not being like, there was a lot of stuff that was coming up for me. But it's working through that stuff where you can actually see better and where you're going. That's what happened for me. Like, once I was able to dig through all of that shit, I can see clear now. I can navigate better. I have better discernment. I'm very in tune now with myself. So my encouragement would just be focus on you. To my client, focus on you. The more you can focus on you, the less you're distracted by what's going on the outside.
Yeah. And listen, that's good advice no matter what your sexual orientation is.
Yeah. Yeah. I just say that because in our community.
Yeah, no, I understand, but that's good advice, period.
Yeah. A lot of times we're seeking for this external validation and acceptance. And, some it's not going to come. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
And you got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
You got to figure out how to be okay. All right. Now, Miss Vanessa, how are you?
I'm good.
All right. So listen, talk to me about who Vanessa is, what you do, and how you and Sam met. I want a little bit of your love story journey.
Okay. So I would consider myself to be a very compassionate person. I tend to put others, first at times in my life, but, through my own experiences, I would say that I've been able to just be more connected and know who I am a little bit more, as I get older, which I think is typical for most of us. But now I'm a social worker. So I work in a mobile crisis unit. And so we respond to crisis calls from community members, the police department, anyone who is having a mental health crisis. They can call our line, and then we would go to wherever they are and respond to try to provide services. So in addition to being a social worker, I also do therapy for patients at work, which I thoroughly enjoy. That's definitely one of my passions. And so I get to incorporate a little bit of the excitement with the crisis side, and then doing the therapy and helping people grow out of their fears, or, learning not just how to cope with what they have going on in life or whatever their diagnosis is, but being able to heal from these past traumas and not just be given multiple coping tools, over and over, and just kind of running in circles with it. So I'm very passionate about that.
It sounds like it. I love it. So talk to me about you and Sam, because I love a good love story. So,
okay. So Sam and I met in college. Actually, it was our undergrad. We were both getting a bachelor's in criminal justice. And so we met in college, and we've just been rolling together ever since. That was about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years now. So
nice.
She got me with her chocolate chips. She's not telling the story. So what happened was, I walked into the classroom late. I was late because I was, working a job, and I happened to get late, show up late. And I walked in the classroom, I sat down, and I could feel someone staring at me. That's how it started.
Okay.
And it was over from there. I knew she was on. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm such a sap. I love stuff like that. So Vanessa,
yes,
can you talk to me from your perspective about Sam's journey, both not only as a transgendered male, but as a life coach?
So Sam's journey has been very unique. I think, if I can backtrack a little bit, when we first met, this was pre-transition, and there was always, conversation about how he would say, this is how I really feel, but I don't want to lose my family, or I'm afraid of what would happen. And so we had conversations about it early on in our relationship. And it was something that we constantly were talking about, but I just was trying to give him time to figure that out. And I think for me, it's important that he knew, I know who you are. And when we're at home, I'm going to use this language. Instead of saying she, I'm going to say he. And so for us, it was a long journey, I think, to get here, but I already knew who Sam was when we met. It was something that we talked about. And so when the transition actually started to transpire in 2018, it wasn't something where I felt like I had to make a decision. Okay, now I'm going from having a wife to having a husband, and now what do I do? That was never a concern for me. So I felt like, we always had good communication, and there was a lot of conversations. And his journey has been, there's been a lot of joy in it, because, being totally candid and honest, prior to transition, there's a lot of emotions, including depression and this feeling of dread and, I have to get up today and deal with these people and, deal with someone misgendering me or using the wrong pronouns. And that's really stressful. So we just to a point where I said, listen, I don't want anything to happen to you. I work in behavioral health. I know what the suicide rates are, and we are not doing that. So we need to seriously think about how we're going to move forward here. And if you want to transition, then we need to do it now, because I could see how unhappy he was prior. And so getting to that place where he finally felt comfortable and knowing that, you know, I wasn't going anywhere and we were going to figure it out together, that was really important for me. And so now here we are, and he is much happier. So, you know, and that makes me happy too, because, you know, as a spouse, when you watch your spouse going through something traumatic and constantly feeling like they just can't live as their authentic self, you know, that is stressful on the spouse too. I was constantly worried about what's going to happen today. Is he going to be okay? You know, it's tough, but getting through it.
But look at what, I mean, I wish that every single person had someone like you as they try to navigate what cannot be an easy thing to do, but has to be done, because who wants to just walk around every day being something other than who they really are? So if everybody could have a Vanessa, that'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I thank you for Sam for that.
It's really all about quality of life. And, you know, there's all these sayings about, well, you only get one life, and you get, you know, YOLO, you know, you only live once. Yeah. But for me, I think during that time, it was a whole lot more than that. And I could see all of the potential being stuck. And I said, we need to just open up the floodgates. And I also didn't want him to feel pressured either. It wasn't like I'm sitting on the sideline, like, you need to do this. But for me, it was, so if this is who you are and you're sure about that and you want to do this, then let's do it.
Nice. I love it. So Vanessa, talk to me about some of the external, because you guys didn't have any of these biases or challenges that you faced, that you personally, Vanessa, faced, because you not only married an African-American man, but a transgender man. And how did you kind of manage them if and when they came up?
So I feel like I've been pretty fortunate. I haven't had a whole lot of experiences where I was questioned about, why did you marry a Black man? Or, you know, why would you stay with a trans man? You know, like I haven't really been questioned about that. My family has been really supportive.
Good. And
I think there may be parts of it that they don't understand, but even my grandmother, you know, my 83-year-old grandmother came to Christmas a few years ago. And, you know, as soon as I opened the front door, she took one step inside and she pulled me over and said, okay, now how do I address Sam? Yeah. And, you know, so that meant a lot to me too, because she's, you know, grew up in a very small town in Oregon, and she hasn't really been exposed to that many, you know, people of color either. So, but yeah, I've had some really good experiences. There's been a few times maybe when we're out in public where, you know, we get a few looks here and there. But I think it also could be because I'm tall and Sam's short, and there's other factors there. I'm a curvy, you know, girl. And so maybe that, you know, changes the way people look at us. But I also am very firm in who I am, and I don't allow people to question that. And so if someone ever did approach me and ask me that, there would be no response needed. And because I feel like, why is everyone else with their spouse? Because you love them. Right. Do I need to say anything else besides because I love him? No. Right. That's it. That's all you need to know.
I love it. I like her. Yes.
I do too.
So Vanessa, how do you balance your career and your personal goals in life with Sam's role as a life coach, and how do you guys find ways, if you do, to kind of integrate your respective passions and goals and careers?
Yeah. So I really try to incorporate self-care into my weeks. I won't say every day, but we like to go get manis and pennies together, and I like to just kind of take a drive out to the water, whatever nearest body of water that we can find, and maybe we'll have lunch there. I'm also, I spend time with myself in the car, driving. I have about an hour drive to work, to there and then an hour back. So I listen to a lot of gospel music in the car. And I just, sing all my favorite songs, and that's good self-care for me, at least on a daily basis. But I think also Sam and I have very similar visions as far as, helping people and what that looks like. We don't want to just help people feel better for the moment or for the day. I want you to feel like you have a whole new perspective on your life and how you can have that better quality of life just because you tweaked one little thing about your mindset, or you changed one little thing about your belief system, and you recognized, that you're worth more than what you were ever told you were, or whatever the case may be that has to do with that past trauma. I do have a passion also for helping the LGBT community, because we know about our statistics and depression, anxiety, suicide. There's a lot out there, but I think eventually, I still have 2 years of clinical supervision to do in order to be a licensed clinical social worker. And then I can do therapy on my own. So eventually, what we are going to do with our clients is they would either start with me with therapy or start with Sam with coaching, and we would just help clients together. So I would do the therapy aspect, and then Sam would do the coaching.
That sounds awesome. I can see that for you guys. Sure. Sure. So, and this question is more for Vanessa, but Sam, I'd like you to kind of, give me your take on it. But how do you envision the role of spouses, partners, or allies in kind of creating a more inclusive and understanding society as a whole?
I think it's really important for spouses to speak up when there's it's like that saying, if you see something, say something. But I think we need to create more space for spouses to be talking and sharing their journey, because there may be situations where you have a couple that is like us, and one person is saying, well, I'm this person and I want to transition, and maybe the other spouse is kind of lost in limbo, like they don't really know what to do, or a lot of people are stuck on this identity of, well, I'm a lesbian, that's who I am, and I'm not going to be with somebody that's transgender because then I'm not a lesbian anymore. But that's not the case. We get too stuck on these titles and these labels, we had a space where spouses could come together and talk and share their experience, and also have open meetings where other people can just come in, even if it's somebody that's just trying to learn and understand more. I think that would be great for society, even if you have maybe parents of transgender kids, or, parents of someone who's gay or lesbian or bi or non-binary, whatever it is. I just feel like we need to have those support groups in place. So that would be something eventually we would work on too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. So this question is for the both of you, and it's about marriage. So marriage is marriage, okay? And it's beautiful and wonderful, and there's so much yumminess, but it's work too. So no matter your sexuality or gender preferences, marriage is work. It's, most of us, even as much as we love our partner, there's still, times when there's, some challenges or whatever. But for you two in particular, were there any particular challenges for you two? And that doesn't have to be around the gender issue. just challenges, period?
Yeah, I would say communication, it took us a while to kind of drill down our communication and a lot of conversation around what we each needed, what we liked, what we didn't like, and really just understanding each other, I think, to the core, because everyone has different communication styles. And some people, would think that it's okay if, one person is mad and they're just yelling like, oh, that's normal. Where, I grew up with a lot of yelling in my household. And so that's something that I absolutely do not tolerate. So I just took a lot of conversation, but I think communication was definitely something that took us a while to work through.
Yeah, because we're very, very both strong-willed, independent individuals. And for me, I also had to break down what it meant for me to be a husband and a man.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that played a role in it too.
Yeah.
And I got to be able to define what that looks like for me, which for me was being vulnerable. It was expressing my emotions in a more healthier manner.
Yeah.
Because before I would express my emotions or I would get angry and I would yell and scream, but I knew where that was coming from. But communication has been a huge piece in our marriage, and also being able for us to define what we want our marriage to look like, because we're okay with not looking like how everyone else looks like. We're okay with defining our own roles and what each one of us does.
And speaking of roles, there's always these stereotypical gender roles, the man is supposed to take care of the oil changes in the car and mow the lawn and take things, right? It's funny because I'm actually the one that likes to fix stuff around the house.
Yep. I'm not getting my hands dirty for nothing.
The power drill in the garage is mine.
It is. Right.
But it's fun to kind of play around with that because, it's amazing when you have conversations with other couples, with other people, and you learn how different, everyone does things. And I think it's really important before you even get married to have conversations about expectations.
Yes.
Because, you can get lost in your head, in a relationship with someone and it's going a certain way because maybe you don't live together yet. And then all of a sudden someone says, hey, let's move in. And you haven't had that conversation about expectations. And then all of a sudden you move in together and you're miserable.
Right.
So yeah, having those conversations about expectations and setting boundaries with certain things, you can kind of work out the little details later, but you really need to know what your partner expects from you.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. And being honest.
Yes.
Honesty. Yeah, for sure. Open and honest.
Yep.
I would even throw in, before we even got married, we went to couples therapy and we were able to work through a lot of stuff individually and together. So that played a huge part when we did take the next step.
Yeah. I think every couple should go to couples therapy.
Yeah. There's a concept, that you hear about people saying, oh yeah, my partner or my wife or my husband that's where my joy is. But really, you have to have your own joy first and then you come together. This person adds to your joy.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you are not happy with yourself prior to getting married or even talking about marriage, those things need to be worked through first. Because if you have not dealt with pain that you've had from 10 years ago from an ex or whatever happened in that relationship, it's going to continue to carry you. And then it's just going to keep creating problems and you're going to go through the same patterns that you've been through your whole life.
Yep. Absolutely. 100% agree with that. So looking forward, Sam, how do you hope to see like the coaching industry evolve in terms of both inclusivity and awareness of LGBTQ plus issues? And what role do you hope to play in that evolution?
My hope is that other coaches want to be educated about the community. Mm-hmm. That's my hope. I feel like we're heading in that direction.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm definitely hopeful. I like, and that's the space I like to live, is in the hope and the joy and the positivity, because that's what's going to push us forward. And I'm seeing that now. Even being involved in the all Black trans man cohort, which involves other coaches, advocates, or whatnot. I feel like we're going into the right direction of inclusion.
Yeah.
So don't be fooled with what you see in the media. The media has a way of being divisive.
Yes.
And spreading misinformation. And so I would just encourage anyone who's listening is, don't let the media be your teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Please. And be selective about where you're getting your content from, for God's sake.
Be selective, do your research. Don't just take everything at face value. Like, really do your homework. And like I said, Google is your friend. We are becoming so more advanced than what we are before. So there's no reason to stay in the ignorance. And at the end of the day, it's a choice. Now you're making a choice. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
And Vanessa, you want to add anything to that?
I would really just hope to see that not only are we involving the life coaches, but I'd really like to see more of our behavioral health professionals being involved in the LGBTQ plus community activities.
Yeah.
You know, the company that I work for, you know, we have a booth that we set up at one of the local prides every year. And last year I was able to go, and it's just amazing, you know, to talk to people that stop by and they ask about the services we offer. And there's, you know, a lot of people don't know. They don't even know what's available for them. But the hard part that I struggle with is that when I have patients who have private insurance and I call the insurance company looking for either an LGBTQ plus knowledgeable therapist, or if they ask if they have any that identify as LGBTQ plus, and they're telling me, no, we don't have any clinician in our network that specialize in this. And it's just really disappointing to me that we're in 2024 and we still don't have enough access to care.
Yeah.
So that's important. I really would like to see us build a network of clinicians that can take any insurance and can see any patient from anywhere and be able to support our community in a way that really provides the services and the help that they need, because it starts with your mind. You have to work through your pain and the trauma to get to a place where you can start feeling better.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. That was a great answer. So my last question to both of you is, what are your goals and aspirations personally and professionally, and for you two as a couple? And either one of you can go first.
You go first.
Okay.
Right first.
So personally, right now, like I said, I am an associate social worker at the moment. So I have to do 2 years working full time for my clinical supervision. And then I can take my state licensing exam to be a licensed social worker. And then as I get older, I think eventually I would go out on my own and do therapy and business for self. But I'm also currently, I'm in a doctorate program, and I graduate in December. So I'm working on that so that I can eventually be Dr. Castle.
Nice.
So yeah, I definitely am going to stay in behavioral health. I've always had a passion for helping people. And I kind of, like Sam was saying earlier, I didn't really know what direction to go with it. But I think the more that I work with my patients, I can kind of see what my niche is, and, you know, where I what I really enjoy doing the most. So I know I will be always in behavioral health, but I'd like to see that evolve too and kind of see how I can mesh together with Sam's coaching.
Okay. All right. And for you two as a couple, what are your goals, Vanessa, for the future?
As a couple, we love to travel.
Yes.
So we get that, the travel bug bites us every year, and we are like, where's it going? So we would really love to travel. We want to see a few other countries. We're trying to do Costa Rica next year and see if we can make that happen. But I'd love to go to Bali or Japan, and just see something new. I love culture. I love, seeing traditions and the music and the festivals and the food. So I'm just excited. Yeah. But I think also more interpersonally, just really working on our growth together. It's important for us to grow independently, but in order for us to move forward as a couple and be able to stay strong, we have to grow together too.
Okay. Yeah.
Mic drop.
And Sam.
Let's see, my individual goals. So I will be returning to school in August to pursue my master's also in social work. I definitely want to work with the LGBT, specifically trans community around trauma and healing. As far as coaching, I see, be you, do you, being global, known throughout the world. That's my motto. That's my mantra. That's something that I've had to remind myself every day. Be you, do you.
Yep.
You don't need permission. I just want to share the healing journey, joy, purpose. Like, life is so much more than our identities and all of the labels and all of the boxes we put ourselves in. So I want to be able to pass on the healing so that generations to come can pass on the healing. Absolutely. We've dealt with a lot of generational trauma, and it's time to move forward and really heal. Really heal.
Yes.
That's what God wants us to do, create heaven on earth here and now. So, as a couple, like she said, I feel like it's necessary for us to continue to grow together and individually. We definitely want to do more traveling. We've talked about moving possibly to Atlanta. That's still a thing. We currently take care of my father. So, we're just trying to figure out navigate what that looks like. But we're going to just keep living, keep growing, and keep loving each other for sure.
Absolutely. Listen, if we can pass on trauma, we can certainly pass on healing generationally. So, I got to ask, any plans for children to grow your family?
Oh, absolutely not.
No. Absolutely not.
We have decided that we are not going to have kids. We do have 2 little fur babies. Our dogs are our kids. So,
and I have twin nephews and a niece. So, I can always go pick them up anytime.
That's right. And listen, you can give them right on back. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, in our earlier years, we thought about it, but we want to travel, and I feel like giving back kind of makes up for that. Just being able to give back to people in our own.
I'm connected. I've worked with one of the foster homes. It's a children's home out near my job, and I've talked with them a few different times, just getting information about fostering. So it's possible that eventually we might start. There's quite a few LGBTQ kids that end up in foster care, whether their parents have just completely disowned them or they're just in really tough situations with family, and they need help too. So we have talked about fostering LGBTQ plus kids.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I can see that. I can see you guys doing that.
But right now I love not having gray hair. So
I am not mad. I have 2 adult children and 3 grandchildren, and they're a lot of work. They're a lot of work. And I am super duper glad that like my kids are grown and I can kind of do what I want. Like the grands I get when I want to spoil them, and then I give them back. So, so listen, Sam, Vanessa, we're at the end of our formal part of our conversation, but I really, really wanted to take a minute to thank you both for giving me your time, but more importantly, for giving me and my listeners your authenticity, your honesty, just being you. I appreciate it more than you know. And my hope is that whoever hears this is empowered, impacted, to live their lives authentically as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So now we get to do the fun stuff. We get to play 10 candid questions. These questions are like super duper random. Some of them are either or, some of them require like a little more fleshed out answer. And there's only one rule and you have to answer them candidly. So for each question, I'll need an answer from Sam and Vanessa. You ready?
Okay. Ready.
All right. This is going to be an easy one for Sam. Question number 1. What's a favorite quote or mantra that you live by?
Be you, do you. You don't need permission to be who you are.
I knew I put that there on purpose because I knew that's what you were going to say. And Vanessa?
I think one of my favorite quotes is always, do or do not. There is no try.
Oh, okay, Yoda. Yoda.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2. Handshakes or hugs?
Hugs.
Almost literally said that together. I'm a hugger too.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 3. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
I would say that I brought love, light, and joy to the world.
Okay. And Sam?
Ooh. I'd say love and joy for sure, but standing in truth and not giving a damn what people think or say.
Okay. I love that too. Question number 4. What is your favorite curse word?
Shit.
Yeah. Often.
Wait, both of yours is bullshit?
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's pretty common. You stub your toe, you smack your arm on something. Oh.
Yeah. That's true. That's so true. Okay. Number 5. What's the most valuable lesson you've learned from a mistake or failure in your life?
That's a good one. Stick to your boundaries. There's been a lot of times where I have created a boundary or said, okay, I'm not going to do that again. And then I did it again. And then whatever I experienced was maybe even worse than the last time. So
yeah,
to just stick to my boundaries and listen to my gut and said, no, don't do that. I wouldn't have had to go through it.
Got it. And Sam?
I would say tell the truth.
Okay.
Tell the truth. No matter how uncomfortable it is.
I like both of those. All right. Question number 6. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Yes, I'm a dog person too. All right. Number 7. If you had the undivided attention of the entire world for 5 minutes, what would you say?
Be kind. We're all going to leave out of here anyway.
Okay.
No, sir, I mean, because what are we truly arguing about?
Right. Yeah, I agree.
It's like telling people to love thy neighbor, but actually mean it. Yeah. And actually do it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. All right. Question number 8. Text messages or phone calls?
Phone
call.
I'm old school.
Really? Both of you?
I don't mind text messages. Like if I'm at work and, it's easier for me to reply back to something in a text. But if it's the weekend, just call me.
I feel like text message is so impersonal.
It can be.
Yeah.
And then it's communication sometimes from
Oh, yeah.
from text.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a texter and I know that words without context can be,
Yeah.
like, no, that's not what I said. Okay. Let me just call you.
Yeah, you may start off texting, but there's going to be some point where someone's going to be like, well, so, get offended or say something. And then you realize, no, they took it wrong. Now I have to call you.
Yep. Agreed. Question number 9. What's one thing you believe everyone should experience in their lifetime?
I think everything that I can think about all boils down to love.
Yeah.
If you talk about acceptance, okay, that means love. If you talk about happiness, okay, that's, not necessarily always love, but yeah, I think love in some form is important.
Yeah. And Sam?
What's something I think someone should experience at least one time?
One thing you believe everyone should experience in their lifetime.
Get out. Like, get out of the environment you were born in. I know a lot of people who have never been outside of their own neighborhood. I would say get out and enjoy life. Because you just
it's a big world, y'all.
Yeah.
It is. And stop saying what is not for you. You don't know what's for you until you get out there and try. Like, we put ourselves in so many boxes. It's just insane.
Yeah, I agree. All right. And last question, and this is the same for all my guests. How can my listeners connect with you, Sam, or you, Vanessa, your coaching business, etc., your social, your podcast?
I'm on Instagram, but not as much. But you can find me on Instagram at BUDU_1. It's easier to reach out to me on Facebook because that's where I am the most. So my Facebook is Sam Castle. My coaching website is buducoaching.com. I'm all things BUDU. So it's buducoaching.com. My website is currently under construction because I'm doing some new things with it. But the easiest way I would say is shoot me a DM on Facebook if you want to get in touch. And we can go from there.
Okay, awesome. And Vanessa, if you want to give yours.
I am not doing personal therapy at this time. It's just through my work. I have to wait till I'm licensed before I can do any of that. But if anyone has questions or they just want support from a spouse's perspective, you can always send a message to Sam, or you can message me on Facebook. My Facebook is just Vanessa Castle. And you can send a message and I can always reply there too.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you again for this time, for this chat, just for being who you two are. I see you guys on Facebook all the time and I'm like, oh, they're so cute. I'm a sap. So love is like my jam. And I think that, when you can find somebody that loves you for you, you need to hold on to that. And that comes through whenever I see you guys together. So thank you for your time and for sharing your stories with me.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. It's so good to catch up.
Yes. Absolutely. And guys, listen, Sam and Vanessa's contact info, the link to his podcast, the BUDU podcast, his socials will all be in the show notes. So you can just click it and go and check it out. And I'd like to ask you guys to please not forget to visit my little old website at www.thekandidshop.com. That's Kandid with a K. Listen to an episode or 10. Drop me a review and share the show with your friends, please. And until next time, I want everyone out there to keep it safe, keep it healthy, and keep it candid.